Hello and welcome to the channel by English for You. In the series of intermediate level grammar, today I have come up with a lesson on relative clauses. So without further ado, let's get started. So this lesson is a very important one because after this lesson we are going to learn about reduction of relative clauses. See, in this lesson we are going to learn about relative clauses. So we need to, this one is a subordinate clause. So we are going to learn about its connectors. So first thing is about its connectors. See, relative clauses uses relative pronouns. These are the connectors, relative pronouns, and relative adverbs. So these are the connectors. So what about antecedent? Because relative clauses are used to modify its antecedents. See, just take a look at this example. You will understand easily. See, this one is a relative clause. Who is a civil engineer? This relative clause is just modifying its previous or preceding noun. So at the place of Bilal, we are using here who. And this whole clause, relative clause, is modifying Bilal. So this Bilal is here an antecedent for this clause. Okay? So this is about antecedent. Now move to its functions. See, relative clauses has two functions only. The first function is that it modifies previous or preceding noun, and the second one is that it comments on previous clause or sentences sometime. That is the reason we call, we cannot say relative clauses are 100% adjective clauses, because some of the time, sometimes relative clauses are used to just comment on the previous clause or sentences. But here you can just take a look at here it is just modifying, identifying about the previous noun. So we can say that, yeah, most of the time relative clauses are used to modify previous or preceding nouns and pronouns. Now we have three kinds of relative clauses: defining relative clauses, that is essential; non-defining, or sentential. It is very important to know about the difference between defining or non-defining. And what about sentential relative clauses? Sentential relative clause, you can just take a look at this example. Here this one is a sentential relative clause, because this one is just modifying previous clause. So this one is a sentential relative clause. This one is an example of sentential relative clause. So what about defining or non-defining? See the defining first. See, defining relative clauses are used to identify or classify the noun that it refers to. Okay? And the second one is that we are not going to use comma with defining relative clause. And third one is that if we are going to have relative pronoun as an object, we can just remove it in case of defining relative clause. Just take a look at this example. What was the first film that you saw? See, that you saw here is a relative clause, is modifying previous noun film. Here it is just identifying previous noun. Here just take a look at this example. Here this relative clause is identifying previous noun, and here this relative clause is classifying previous noun. It means that defining relative clauses are used to identify or classify the noun, the previous or preceding noun. Okay? And in case of defining relative clauses, we can remove the relative pronoun when it is used as object. See here, this one is object, and here this one is object, but here this one is subject, so we cannot remove here, but here we can remove, and here as well. So it is all about the defining relative clause. So what about non-defining relative clause? See, Non-defining relative clauses means non-essential, and we know that whenever we get the non-essential information we need to use comma. So just take a look at this example. So first try to understand what exactly a non-defining relative clause is. See, non-defining relative clause is used to give or add in extra information about previous noun. Just take a look at this example, very easy. Here it says that which has a mass of about 300 grams. See, even if we remove this relative clause, still we are able to get the core meaning of the sentence. The human heart pumps blood throughout the body. And even if we remove this clause, still we are going to get the core meaning. It means this one is non-essential. And whenever we have non-essential information, we need to use comma. We need to set it off with commas. And take a look at this example. Bilal, who is a civil engineer, is coming to meet us. Here, who is a civil engineer is a relative clause, and we have kept it between commas. We can even remove this relative clause without any without losing the core meaning of the sentence. So it is about the non-defining relative clauses. So it is all about the relative clauses. So we are done with it. So in the next video we are going to talk about reduction of relative clauses. So thank you for watching this video. Bye bye.